you an overview on the election, which is all of you are involved in. Historically speaking, we've done a 68% turnout in presidential elections. We are anticipating a larger turnout. My guesstimate is that we may have a 72.5% turnout in Spartanburg County. What we're doing now, in June, we had to combine 12 precincts into others because of concern for the COVID. That was primarily churches and several of the county fire departments. We managed that well. I will also tell you from previous speakers, Dr. Carbonozzi, and about COVID, each of our poll managers were equipped with face masks, gloves, shields, hand sanitizers, sneeze shields, face shields, cotton swabs, disinfectants, and alcohol wipes. And I have not had any reports from any of our poll workers that they have contacted or have shown symptoms of COVID. So I'm very pleased to be able to report that. We are anticipating right now having to combine some precincts. I don't know what that will be yet, but we're working on getting that information from each of the 98 precincts. I'm pleased to report that we've had a tremendous surge in people wanting to become poll managers. Right now I have about 200, 250 additional people that have never done that before. We're working hard to get them trained to be able to supplement our normal dedicated staff. And of course, if we do that, then that's going to reduce the lines and the wait time. I will tell you that COVID protocol will be in place for November. That's going to be long lines, and probably we're going to have wait times. I wish I could say we couldn't have wait times, but just expect it throughout the state, I believe. But we're going to do everything we can to mitigate that. I do appreciate your cooperation in the last few months on changing some voting locations. Each of the changes are going to result in a better situation for our voters. I do have several things to ask your support when you reconvene in September. Senator Peeler, you've received a letter from Ms. Andino expressing her concerns about several issues. I'd just like to hit those. No excuse voting. Basically, we allowed an 18th reason, which was the COVID emergency, to allow people to vote absentee. We would like to ask you to consider that again. It made it a lot easier for them. People are wary of COVID and they don't want to get out and so forth. We'd like you also to consider removing the witness signature from the absentee ballots. We've had in each election, we'll always receive some ballots that are not witnessed. And it seems to me that people that go to the trouble to mail in their ballot, even if they can't get a witness signature, somehow or another that ballot should be allowed to be counted. So I ask you to reconsider again, as we did in June, waiving the witness requirement for the absentee process. You also allowed us, the General Assembly allowed us to begin processing the absentee ballots the day before the election. This time we're asking you to consider to allow us to begin processing the absentee ballots on Friday before the election. And as an example in there, currently we have received over 4,000 signed applications, which means that first batch of absentee ballots that mailed out from us in late September is right now, it's 4,000. It's going to grow between now and September. The process is the board has to convene, examine each of the envelopes. Has it been signed? Has it been witnessed? Then we have to open the ballot. Well, that leaves us with the ballot here in envelope that we can't open until the day of the election. If you've got several thousand of these things, it's going to be a mammoth job to do that. And as an example, in one of the other counties, removing the outer envelope from one of the counties took about 3,000 ballots, took 6 hours. Then the next day, the process to open up those ballot hearing envelopes, take the ballot out, flag it, remove the stub, get it processed, was over 7 hours. And if we've got 10,000 of these things, ladies and gentlemen, in Spartanburg County, we need to be able to expedite the process, particularly since all of you are depending on the results to be on a timely basis. So we would ask you to consider letting us begin the process of opening the absentee ballots on Friday before the election. And finally, we think it would be prudent to allow us to have an absentee ballot drop box outside our office to allow people to come in and not have to come into the office. They just drop their ballot in. There would be a process in place to count for those ballots, the time they were empty, count, and so forth. We would maintain control of them and the integrity. And I'm pleased to be able to tell you we haven't lost any ballots yet in Spartanburg County. We've got such a great team here. So that's pretty much the quick. And, Mr. Chairman, I think takes less than 5 minutes.
That's great. Senator Corbin.
Well, I know, well, this is a serious issue. There's nothing more important than honesty and integrity in our voting system. That's what binds this republic together. I've been getting some emails, with some concerns about the removal of the witness signature, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. Tell me how that works specifically.
Well, sir, to mail in your ballot, on the back, you vote your ballot, you put it inside an envelope called ballot herein. You seal that, then you sit it in an envelope that we have sent you, is barcoded to your name, your address, to a specific ballot style. To mail that ballot back in, you, the voter, have to sign it on the back, put your address, and then a witness has to sign it, put the address on the back. Now, if your spouse can do it, your child can witness it, your neighbor can witness it. If it comes back in, the first thing you do to review it is check, is it signed by the voter? Then, under current law, unlike June, under current law, if it's not witnessed, then you set it aside and it's never opened. So that person's vote is not counted.
But anybody can witness it.
Anybody can witness it, yes, sir.
And to witness it, they just have to have a name and an address.
Yes, sir, and there's no way for us to verify the signature of that witness either.
That's what I was getting
But
to.
we do check the signature of the voter.
Right, so you could, if there was no, you could forge a witness's signature and that, and you could
Yes,
just
sir.
say your next door neighbor did it, and there's no way you could find out.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, Senator.
Okay, that's what I was, now, and one of the things, as far as absentee ballots, who can request, I know I can request an absentee ballot, but can I request 100 of them from you?
No, sir, you have to be a member of the immediate family to request that.
Okay, so like an organization can't say, well, we're gonna try and have a drive to get the vote out at the church or something, and you wouldn't give out 100 absentee ballots to one
No,
person
sir,
or any
we
organization?
don't give out absentee ballots.
Okay.
You can take your spouse's application home for her to sign, but you cannot take her ballot. The exception is if you've been admitted to the hospital within 4 days on an emergency basis, yes, you can take the application and the ballot.
Okay. And I appreciate this exchange, Henry, because I wanted it, on the record and in public of how this is handled. You and I basically knew it, but I wanted it said in public of how this worked and the protocols in place to, for protections and things, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Laye.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Hill.
Mr. Senator.
Define processing the ballot now. And the primary, you could process them on Monday. And your request is back it up to Friday, to where you start processing the ballot on Friday.
That's correct, sir. And
All right, now define, is that just the outer ballot?
The only
You're talking both.
the only thing we will be touching, Senator Peeler, is the outside envelope, removing it from that outside envelope, having to verify it's been signed. We cannot touch and cannot open the ballot here in envelope until the day of the election. And we can begin processing those at 9 a.m. the day of the election, and we can run them through the ballot tabulator, but we cannot release any results until after the polls have actually been closed.
We see you've got an uptick of people applying for poll workers. What's the reason for that?
I'm sorry?
The uptick in people applying to be a poll worker.
Well, I hope it's-
What are we doing right in Spartanburg?
I hope it's a call to civic duty.
Good.
But we've had them with all ages, from the late teens to 60, 70-year-olds.
Please tell me they're Republicans.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Martin.
Thank you, I appreciate you being here. Do you think that, I know that both major,
Martin, I want you to turn your mic on.
Mr. Green.
Oh, no, I was trying to cut Senator Corbin off.
I think that's as green as it gets, but anyway, my question is, I know that both major parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, they sent out things for us to share on our social media. Do you think some of that has helped? I know I shared some of it, to where we're trying to get more people interested in protecting the integrity of the election.
I hope so,
poll
sir.
workers. Do you see that as people looking at that as maybe nonpartisan, just trying to get people interested to come work and do the job right? Do you
I think that's part of it.
Okay.
The more word we can spread and get people involved, the better off we are.
Okay. All right. Once again, thank you very much for being here. We always enjoy seeing you. Thank you.